Hi, and welcome to On the Couch Conversations with Brenda Porter. Today's guest, I am so excited, is the fabulous Chandra Correly. Chandra is an actor, a singer, just an all around wonderful performer. Welcome, Chandra.
Glad to be on the couch.
Yes. So, right now, you are not doing stage, but you're doing television, right?
yes, I'm
So,
doing television.
tell
Who
me
would have
about
thought?
what you're doing. Yes.
Well, right now I have a series called Bruh, which is on BT right now and also on BT Plus. So you get a chance to see me on what do they call it, Lunar television, and then you can see me streaming on BT Plus.
So in this, what's your part?
Well, first of all, it's about these four millennials, men. That's why it's entitled Bruh. I'm the character's mother. His name is John, and I'm Alice, and we own a sandwich shop called the A&J. So get it, Alice and John.
Yeah.
And so Alice is kind of like speaking for the other generation,
Okay.
and also dealing with. Obviously, she is a single parent who's raised her son, but he's an adult. And because of whatever he was doing in college, he ended up not finishing college. But the rest of his classmates and friends, like doctor, one's an architect, one's a lawyer. And so he fell to the side, but to open a sandwich shop, which I helped him do. And so it's about kind of how it is with a single parent. And also, I thought it was very interesting that in these times, I could talk about and be involved in something talking about single parenting and raising a Black man.
Mm.
Times. So sometimes you don't get it. At first you go like, oh, it's a job. But then when you think about it, it's like it's speaking to what's relevant right now. And so I've kind of like enjoyed um, being that conversation piece, as you would say, about times and dealing with young Black men in this world and in this country.
Which is such an important thing. You know, since Black Life Matters and George Floyd and all of the many other deaths and injustices that have happened, America is finally, I think, taking a look at themselves. My question
Mm,
always is, are we going to move forward with it? Or are we just looking and going, yeah, I see it now, we're going back? Um,
yeah.
how has this affected your work?
Well, first of all, I have a son. So I know what it feels like goes outside my door, you know. And that's another thing, just how art is a part of, it could be therapy. I mean, it's like in dealing with real life. And so I kind of bring that to the table too, but I know the feeling. And so I take that on set with me. How I have to think about my son being out there, how not to stress about that, but also how to prepare him the best I can, what he's going to have to face.
We as Black folks have to do that all the time. I don't think
Yeah.
there are no other race that really has to do that in the same way that we have to do it, you know,
Right.
and it's an extra burden. You know, it used to be that we would beat our sons down. You know, I'm gonna beat you down so they don't have to beat you down. But I think
Wow.
that philosophy is changing. That was what it was. I think we spent a lot of time going, you no good, da da da. You got to do this, you got to do that,
Yeah.
because we would rather beat them down than to have them get killed or beat down by somebody else.
Well, some of that has been said about Alice. She was like, why is she so hard on him? Why is she da 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 da? But all at the same time, realistically, it's almost like if you can't deal with me, you're not going to be able to deal with what's out there. You know, if you can't deal with mama calling you whatever, what you gonna do when you go out there and they call you that? It's life and death. And so, and also I watch the way my husband deal with my son. And it's sometimes I say, don't talk to him like that. And then I had to catch myself and say, you know what? He understands something I don't quite get. Because when I talked to my son about it and I said, yeah, how you feel about when he says that or saying whatever, he said, oh, Mom, he just cares about me. He just wants me to do the right thing. I had to shut it down.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So when people say that, I know what you're saying. And when they see Alice do that, they'll say that too. Like, we don't have, you don't have to, that's how they used to do it and blah, blah, blah. But then when I had the conversation with my son about how my husband was talking to him, he didn't take it that way. He took it as he's just doing it because he cares. So there you have it.
Filming can take a lot of time. I mean, all day shoot. And yet I see advertisements that you are singing places and stuff. How do you find the time?
First of all, I was working with Tyler Perry. This person is not regular. So, we do things that normal people just don't do. And I remember with Elizabeth Omalami. And we were somewhere doing a play or something. We were in the green room, everybody was talking. And I didn't say anything. I mean, I've worked with Tyler a long time. So, I hear things or whatever. So I think some people were making some remarks. I didn't really say anything. But Elizabeth Omalami spoke up and said, he can't do it the way they do. It's different for him. He's a Black man that owns a film studio. He's a Black man in an industry where he owns his own studio. He's an outsider. What we expect him can't be what we see from others because no one else has done it. And he has to do it the way that works for his situation. And everybody was just quiet.
Wow.
And I got it too. I understood. Yeah, you got to do it like this because you're really outside of Hollywood. And the only reason why Hollywood is dealing with you is because you make a lot of money.
A bunch of money.
Yep.
And he has done it his way. I don't care what people say. The man has fortitude. He's the only person I know who can do 5 projects at one time, involved with all of them. It's amazing. And the man has 300 acres of Fort McPherson. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes, very much so.
And he does it his own way.
So we end up, filming a whole season like in a week, okay? Which stretches what you thought you could do. So once you do that, you can go anywhere and work. It's almost like that, it's almost building a muscle.
Wow.
And so, I mean, you have to look at things that way. Sometimes we miss the point because it's all about being flexible. Because if you're stuck at just doing it at one, like I just got to do it like this, I got to do it. It'll be a lot of things you miss. You're going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to be stretched, So we'll end up doing that, which allows me to have time for my music.
You sing and act, and which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, the acting came first. LaTonya Richardson was my drama teacher in high school.
Really?
Now I could sing because I was in the choir, the chorus at school. I was in the band first, but then I didn't want to be in the marching band. So I decided to take chorus. And LaTonya Richardson decided to teach class my senior year. And she was only there for that one semester. She was just there for that time. And then, she went off and did other things. But that's when the bug hit, when I met her and I began to act. And I wanted to be an actress like her. But it was Samuel L. Jackson, that said, you know what? If you sing, because you can sing, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, hey, you take voice lessons, stuff like that, you'll work more in musical theater. And I ended up taking voice lessons. And the music kind of took off faster than the acting.
Wow.
Yep.
So for those people who don't know about you, tell me a little bit about your musical journey.
Well, the thing about it is, like I said, when the music started taking off, and even the first, and then also I met a singer actress, Davini O'Neill. I met her and I was like, wow, that's interesting to be able to do that, and that's kind of how things kind of took off. And then next thing I know, I joined a band. I was like, okay, the next thing to do is to join a band. So happened, one of my girlfriends that I hung out with was like, my boyfriend is a drummer in a band and they're looking for a singer. I was, okay, well, I was like, I don't know what to do. I said, so I learned one song. I learned, I had it down. I could just kill it, right? And so I went and auditioned that song. And then they were like, they liked it. It was like, yeah. It was like, she's the one. So one of the guys in the band said, okay, but do you have another, sing another song? I was like, I don't have another song. So they took a chance on me. And then at the later on, the keyboardist said, I said, well, how did I get there? I didn't have one song. So how did you know I could do this? He said, because the song you picked had range in it. He said, you could sing the highs and you could sing the lows. So we figured you could sing all the other songs. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And it kind of took off like that. I stayed with that band a while. And they were a little more advanced than me. And so I learned, I hung out like the recording sessions and stuff like that. And I learned a lot from them. And then the band thing kind of got, I just felt in a box because I could only do certain material. I had been exposed to so much different music. And so I said, I'm going to probably have to get my own band or sing by myself. And I eventually left and started, searching out music when I started discovering jazz. And that way I could pick different kinds of songs. And so I left and I started doing that or whatever. And of course, the next time I was in a club and the SOS band came to the jazz club. And I was singing a Shaka Khan song. I was singing, so by that time, Shaka was really singing some heavy duty stuff. I was singing We Can Work It Out, because I also did her version of Night in Tunisia, because she was doing that kind of stuff then. And I was doing We Can Work It Out. And they were just like, wow. And then the guitar player said from the SOS band, he said, okay, you can sing that stuff, but can you sing our stuff? And I said, yeah, if you pay me, I can sing it. I'll make it work. And I end up getting the gig, and I was with him for 7 years. I toured, I recorded 2 albums, and all the songs went to top 20. All the songs were good. And that was my experience of getting into the industry. Before that, I really wasn't in the industry. It's a difference. And, I learned a lot. I really appreciate them. Because you only know things when you're on the inside. They don't let you know stuff until you get inside. You're on the outside, you're just assuming the way it goes, But I learned a lot about the industry once I got into the SOS band.
What made you decide to leave them? Things were going so well.
Yeah, it was going great. Clarence Avant. I don't know if you're familiar with Clarence Avant, but Clarence Avant is like Berry Gordy. That's how big he is in the industry. As a matter of fact, he's connected to Netflix now. So, it's, it kind of goes to one thing to another. But so he decided he didn't want to do that anymore. So he let all his artists go off that label. And, you know, he said, you guys don't owe me anything, which is a very unusual thing for labels because usually they want their money back, or you get another deal with somebody else and they kind of, you know, collaborate on, you know, getting you the deal. So once that happened, SOS had that deal for so long, they really didn't know how to handle that. I mean, they were lost. I mean, I was the youngest person, so I just didn't understand what was going on. And they were just like, just staggered. I mean, they just was frozen. And I was just like, can we get another deal? Can we like get another record deal? And da, 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 da. But they were just like, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to try something else. You know, I said, I knew I could do some other things and I just didn't want to get stuck. I was just looking, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do that no more. Again, it was one of those situations where when I was with the other band, it was just like, I got to move on. I've got to elevate. And so I wasn't doing much. Called Kenny Leon. I said, Kenny, because he's an old friend and I knew him. And I said, you know, you got to play. And so he was like, oh, Chandra, I thought you were going to be doing them flashback concerts and stuff with the SOS band. And I said, well, I don't know with the SOS band anymore. So he goes like, well, I'm doing the Amen Corner. And Carol Mitchell Leon was in that. And I mean, just, it was family. Donald Griffin, Bernadine Mitchell. I mean, it just went on, Margot Mora. I mean, it just went on and on. As a matter of fact, Sean Patrick, who's doing film now, was the son in the play. And so he says, well, you know, I don't know about a speaking role. I can probably get you, you know, we got like a choir, you know, and so you can be, I was like, sure, I'll do it. Then he called me back and he was like, okay, somebody didn't come in. Somebody fell out. So you can do, I forgot which, it wasn't Sister Boxer, because I ended up doing Sister Boxer later, but I did get a small speaking role in it. And so that kind of set me back off into my theater thing. Wow. And then I started doing a lot of musicals and that kind of stuff. And then I was doing Sophisticated Ladies with Tom Jones, with Jamandi, and Tyler Perry came to see somebody else. He was there to see somebody else. And we met backstage and he was like, I'm a playwright. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, really? You know? And so he says, yeah, would you read my script? And I was like, okay. Okay. And then he left his script. And he ended up calling me about a week after that, which I don't know how he got my number, because I did not give my number to him. And to the day, he's never said where he got that number, because the girl that he came to see, she said she didn't give him my number. That's what she said. But I'm glad, well, however he got it. But when I read it, I was like, okay, this is different. This is dealing with Black culture. Because at that time, I really, you know, I was doing regional theater. And so, you know, I was doing stuff like Grapes of Wrath and The Hot Mikado and, you know. And so these characters that I saw, I was like, wow, I relate to these characters, but I never really see them on stage. And I mean, that's kind of what ended up happening. But at the same time, I was still able to do my music, because with those plays, they're not musicals. They're just plays with music in them.
Right.
You know, so I was able to still do my music, because also that's why they hire you, because they go like, this was the lead singer for the SOS band, you know, for that fan base. Right. And they'd come out to the theater. So it just worked out. And so music will always be, because it's the thing that took me to the dance, put it like it. So it will always be my stronger muscle. Yeah. Yep. But the acting, you know, I love the acting. You know, I'm glad I did, because I remember Tanya Richardson telling me, she was like, "Now, I just hope you don't be like just an old bar singer." And I just felt so bad. I was like, no. And at that time I was, and then later on I worked with Roy Ayers, and then she was like really proud. She was like, you working with Roy Ayers? I was like, yeah, and we be in bars.
I think the first time I saw you, it was in a bar. Carol Mitchell Leon
Yeah.
took me up under her wing when I moved in town. And she was like, we're all going out. You want to go out? And I was like, I don't know. You got to. Our friend Chandra Correly is singing. And I was like, who? And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I've got to see this. So,
Oh, that's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. We that community of people they were so important for me. Like I always say, God always surrounded me with greatness. I was always around great people, great artists, people who had great work ethics, and they had morals. I mean, they're about to do their little thing, but it wasn't destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a great, I had no control over that. I had none whatsoever. I was just so grateful.
Well, God will step in. If we let him, God will step in and do what God does,
Yes.
I find myself fighting it sometimes. Like, no, it's my life,
Yeah, we have to learn. It's a process. And so if we don't get some of the things wrong, it's a lot of things we won't get right. And so we're allowed to mess up and make mistakes as long as we learn from them, And so I've been able to, I think that's the thing that has sustained me, to give me longevity, because this is what this is. This is, and to still be relevant. It is totally by grace and understanding that that's what it is. And that has to do with a lot of people, being around people like you and Carol Mitchell Leon, Bernadine Mitchell. It just, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of folks that came up at that time that's just like good people.
Yeah, just good people. And so happened, they had magic. Yeah, they had magic. And so, even when I talk to young performers now, they don't understand about the magic. A lot of them, they equate it with success in the sense of money and how popular they are, and, if I get a chance, I'm always trying to expose them to the magic.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that they're missing the magic now?
Everything is the signs of the time. And so when a certain generation came up, they were taking the arts out of the schools. And a lot of these kids, like even where I came from, if it wasn't for teachers like Tanya and my other teachers and stuff like that, I wouldn't be exposed to it. And so in a sense, art's going to live, however it has to live. And so when they took those instruments out and they took those classes out, they created their own. But the thing about it was, like I got from other people, they were doing that themselves. So certain things they didn't get with it. They created something to do that spoke to their time. They didn't have drums, so they sampled. Mm-hmm. It's different when it's coming from the life force. Like when a drummer plays live, it's a life force. That's where the magic is coming from. So so that's why they'll say beats. That's why, because it's about a beat. It's not about a feel, because they relate to hearing it, not necessarily feeling it. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. That's what happened in their time. The thing about it is coming back around. When they start picking up vinyl, That's a way that it's coming back around, because vinyl, digital things, you don't really feel digital. Vinyl is analog, which is you feel the warmth of the instruments. That's why they're going back to vinyl. So it's kind of like coming back around. It's what it does to us than what we do to it.
Well, that's like, back in the day when they had real instruments in songs. I mean, I don't know how in the world Earth, Wind, and Fire paid all those folks, but it's like,
Right.
it's like how do you pay, two saxophone
Right.
players, guitar players, horn players, trombone players? I was like, whoa, how do you pay them? But that was music that you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
it resonated, it vibrated in your whole being.
Right. You said the word vibrate, but they're still touring, so they're still paying all those people. And I'm just like, there's a lot of people. But so when I did after the pandemic, well, actually, we were able to film during the pandemic. So once I did the episode, I said, I was there. I was just like, because what the acting has done truly has allowed me to do my music. I can do what I want to do. So I said, I need to invest in my music. I need to give it its due, its time. And I was just sitting there and just laying in the bed, and I was like, so what am I to do next? I was through filming. And the spirit just said, you haven't recorded. Maybe 5 years, something like that. You haven't recorded. I was like, yeah, I need to record. Then the spirit said, and record live. I was like, okay, live instruments. Okay, I got a band. I use them. Maybe I'll ask them. And that'll be a way for them to work, because at that time, the venues weren't open. So a lot of the musicians weren't working. So I was like, that's a way, I can kind of contribute to them, And then I said, but what am I going to record? And then the spirit said, record what's familiar. Also familiar to people. So that meant not an original song, but something that they recognize and they know. And the spirit said, they always talk about how much you remind them of Al Jarreau, a female version. I said, yeah, what about that song? Tell me what I got to do. I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And I went in the recording in the studio. And then my sense said, just don't go in the studio and just do one song. So I said, I got to come up with another song. So Christmas was coming up. I said, let me kind of do a holiday song. And I went in and I recorded 2 songs with live instruments. We did a little protocol thing. I stayed in the booth, but I could see them and we could vibe off each other, And so when the record came out and the people were just like, okay, because people like the song. It's just radio. So they were just like, I don't know, it's Al Jarreau and that kind of stuff. But once they heard it, they were just like, okay, I'll play. I don't know why, but I'm going to play. But that's why, because they felt it. Because even the jazz stuff, they call smooth jazz, a lot of that's not even live instruments. It's just somebody put a track and then a horn play on top of it. You know what I mean? And so when you hear Tell Me What I Gotta Do, it's like you feel this thing, the feel of the beat and the drums and the bass player and, the percussion. And they were just like, and the one lady, she was like, I don't know. It just didn't put me in mind of Al Jarreau. This was some radio programmer up north. And she said, well, I'm gonna put it on because at the end, I kind of feel Al Jarreau's spirit. I said, okay. Like, okay, all right. Whatever. So I've got a great response from that. I mean, WCOK played it today. I heard it today. Oh. And so, I mean, they love it. They love it. And it's because it's all live instruments. and people have been longing to feel something,
So what's next on the plate?
Well, I'm getting ready to do a concert at the place I was born. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, and I've gone there to do a couple of things, but I've never really performed there. And I have several friends that, Angela Robinson from the Have and the Have Nots, because she's from Jacksonville, Florida. I have a lot of friends, and they're entertainers, and they know it. Like the Jacksonville people know it, but they don't know that I'm from Jacksonville. So finally, I got somebody that said, "Oh, that'd be a good idea." And so I'm getting ready to do that, and that's going to be great because, of course, for a while could not do. Well, I was particular about the venues because of COVID, and so I feel I'm going to be safe. My agents made sure that the venue is going to be cool. Because Florida is interesting. I'm just saying they have not followed any of the rules. So I told them, I was like, I know you got an interesting governor. So I'm just saying, I want to make sure that I'm good and I'm safe, and the people that come and see me feel safe, because I have a certain demographic, and so I'm very the same. I'm in that demographic. So I want them to feel safe, just like I feel safe, So I'm getting ready for that. Also, the third season of Bruh will be happening. We're thinking May. It'll be probably in May or June that the third season will be coming. And then I just recently got a call that it might have a fourth season. So,
keep that
I
work
don't
going.
deserve it, but I worked for it. Yeah, what say it? Don't get it twisted.
That's all right. Work pays off.
Yeah.
So
and I got to finish my project. I got to finish that, because now the radio is saying, "Where's the next one?" See. So now I gotta, so I'm working on that too. Mm-hmm.
With the same band and everything?
Yeah, I want to use the same musicians, and I want to keep that same level, So I'm gonna be just as particular about this new material as I was about those.
So what advice would you give to a young person coming up right now, considering that life is not as it was when we were coming up?
I always say, prepare yourself for longevity, because you don't know when it's going to happen. So just learn your craft, learn as much as you can that's going to sustain you through it. And you got to believe in your gift. You got to believe in your gift if you want somebody else to believe in it. So that means that even when people tell you no, you still got to believe in it. You got to believe it. And don't be afraid to take criticism, because sometimes there's truth in it. And that one little thing might be the thing that you need to just tweak a little, and you're gone.
Wonderful advice. Not only for the young people, that's good advice for me. Shoot. So, Chandra, thank you so much for stopping in on the couch today.
Thank you. It was beautiful talking to you. Your spirit just comes over so comforting. I mean, it's great. I mean, I love what you decided to do, and to bring us on and talk to us, and you being able to bring out things that we want to say, but also to the people, but also what people need to hear. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I feel honored. And if you are watching today, please take the time to comment below, like us, subscribe, and meanwhile, keep the conversations going.
Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a heart-to-heart. Let's have a consultation. Let's have a heart to heart. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a heart to heart. Let's have a conversation. On the